The final phase of this project is to deal with all the various little pieces and of course to build the case and put the final touches of aging the boat. So let's get started. The anchor was all sorted out with the chain, so we're now fixing up the second one. There was one on either side. First repair we had was one of the flukes on the anchor. I don't know, was damaged or missing. So we cut a piece of brass out. This saw was on the advice of my jeweler friend, Bruce Muti. So I'm starting to expand my collection of metalworking tools. I'm using a long chain on the port anchor and a short one on the starboard because that's what you would set it up, which helps you set the second anchor. You don't want a very heavy chain on it. We were able to straighten the crew access companionway, so that's in. The little winch or crane on the bow of the boat, we just ran the rope and it's just going to be tied off. I put two cleats, one at the front and one at the back, so we could tie off the block and tackle for lifting the lifeboats. We did it on both sides. The rigging for the tackle to pull the lifeboats up and down, you'll see there's a ring in the bow and a ring in the bottom down on the floorboards, and the same thing in the back, and that goes through the bottom block, and that's a simple way to pull it up and down. A 3-part purchase. And we put the flag on, and you'll see that it has some wind curves in it, and this was done simply by wetting the flag, which is paper, putting some pieces, round pieces of wood which gave us nice smooth curved pieces, and then letting it dry. You know, when you're getting down to the end and you start to work on the case, that the build is coming to a close. I have 3 videos, maybe even 4, I can't even remember now, of how to build cases, so I'm not going to go through that in any great detail. Just that each time I do a model and I build a case, I try to do it slightly different to get a different look and feel for the model, and to learn something new. The biggest challenge I've had is coming to my outdoor workshop, which is my messy workshop where all the big tools are, and everything is in a mess here. So I've spent the last 4 days cleaning. I've thrown out 4 huge giant garbage bags of junk that I've collected, and trying to get back to where I have clean working spaces on both sides, and of course in the back a place for all the various tools. I've got a nice solid piece of mahogany for the base. Normally I'll join this up because most of my tools deal in, I can only handle 3 inches, whether it's a thickness planer. So I went down to my friend Hubbard and got him to clean up the main piece for me, and then the joinery that'll fit on a base. So that's the rough stock, and now we're just going to cut off the various posts and frames. I've got the thickest, strongest, straightest piece of mahogany. It's actually heavier than the rest, so for some reason a little more dense. But I've had a problem in the past when I make the small pieces, that as you cut them out they're absolutely straight, and you put them down and they all bend. So I've selected this piece. The grain is ready, running, and no knots in it, and it should make an excellent piece to cut the various frames from. There are many ways to actually make up the molding that you're going to use to hold the glass in place, and I find the only way I can truly understand what I'm going to do or what I'm trying to achieve is to actually draw it out. So I've done that on this little piece of paper, and I'm going to now work out the bulk. I'll work out the joins in the corner because they can be a little bit tricky. And I've developed these molding strips which are very thin, as thin as I can get them, and they don't take away from the look of the model. I don't like glass to glass edges. I like to see a little bit of wood. So made of these very thin sections, and they seem to work very good. Again, this is a little bit of what I was telling you about. This was absolutely straight when I first made it. These are rejected pieces, and you can see the curve here on the top part of this, which is caused by the natural grain in the wood itself, compared to this one, which is absolutely straight. The other and perhaps most important tool is to have a set of 4 corner clamps. There are many types. This is a very inexpensive one I bought years ago and has really done yeoman service, and it really helps pull everything together. You can do it without this. It just makes the job easier. This is the base joint. There's a 1/16 of an inch space on the inside to give the frame a little bit, so I can move it around a little bit. So just literally 1/16. I don't want it jamming up against the base. Remember all of that planning I was telling you? You need to work out how you're going to support the glass. This in fact is the first time I'm making removable glass pieces. So the glass will fit in the frame, and then there'll be a molding inside which is screwed in. And so if I break a piece, instead of having a major repair, I can simply unscrew the molding, remove the glass, and change it. This is much harder to do. Again, you remember I told you about a learning process, so that's the learning process. You'll also notice that I'm putting in some pins. I use brass pins to hold the pieces in place. Now you could do very sophisticated joinery. I'm not good at that. The brass pins are easy and straightforward, so that's what I've done. 4 days working on this case, and it's really been a struggle. I'm not the greatest carpenter in the world, so these miter joints have really given me beans. And of course mahogany is a fairly soft wood, so it's very unforgiving. And you know, if it was painted, it would not be an issue, like on the model. Just put some filler on it. The case can have no filler. So this is, I think we're probably 90% there. We've had to add a few extra moldings. I may still lift the base of the case up 1/2 inch. Right now it's sunk down inside. I haven't quite decided yet. I think I'll actually assemble it like this, and then if I decide I want to raise it, I'll simply add legs to it, which should not be very hard to do. I can just take the model off, add the legs, and screw it back down. The base is screwed to this base piece here, and this entire piece lifts off. We've applied the termite fluid, wait for that to dry, and then we put the sanding sealer on and seal that pesticide in the wood. Lots of sanding to get the sanding sealer flush and a nice finish, and then we're going to apply 3 coats of rub-on poly. It's been about an hour to get the first 2 pieces of glass in. Planned it out perfectly, and as soon as I put the plan in place, it all went to cock. So I finally sorted it out, and I'm sparing you that trial. Basically what we're doing is we're putting the back piece in and one side piece, which will square it off. I put dabs of silicone in 5 spots on the big piece and all across the bottom. Remember, when we lift this piece of glass up and down, the connection between the bottom of the frame and the top of the frame is going to be one of these pieces of glass. So I've decided to stick the 2 ends in fairly solidly, and that will give it a little bit of rigidity, and just put some spots of silicone glue on the main piece. Might not even put more than 2 on the top piece. Once this is done, we'll then fit the top on and then fit the pieces in. We'll temporarily put just a few screws to hold the piece in until the whole thing sets. The one thing I'll have to remember is that having set it up this way, if I have a broken piece of glass, hopefully it'll be in the sides, because they have to come out first. So if one of the main front pieces break, I'll have to take a side out, maybe even both sides out, to get the front out, because that's the way it fits in. So just for the record, Kevin, remember, take the sides out first. We're going to leave this for a few hours, and then we'll come and screw in the little mullions that will hold the glass in place. So the next time a piece of glass breaks, I know I'll have glue in the top on the two ends, which give it a little bit of rigidity. So you just unscrew the mullions, take the glass out, and put the replacement piece in from the inside. The corner pieces, these are the corner pieces, and they'll simply go in. And again, I will put a very slight amount of silicone on the bottom and the top, and just tap, hold it in place. And again, when the glass is broken and needs to be replaced, you'll certainly have to pull it out, but it'll just be a little dab of silicone on it. I've really looked forward to this day. Just a few things left. We have to take the temporary building board off this white board and put the model mounted on the mahogany building board itself. Clean the model. I have to make up the final set of benches and get the lights working in the boat, and then she's all done. So we'll see you in the last and final video.